Let's get this party.
Okay, yes. Bags and everything ready.
Obviously, when you gotta go into executive session, I'll have to leave.
Okay.
But I understand that one of your best friends from high school is one of my best friends from college. Actually, Bill Hart.
Oh, yeah, Matt.
Is it
yeah.
I
time?
named my oldest son after him.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's a little talk more.
All right, I call the meeting to order. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I move we adopt the agenda as emailed.
Linton,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Heppenstall.
Aye.
Bellinger.
Aye.
Parsons.
Aye.
Bowen.
Aye. All right. Do we have any delegation? Is that when we're gonna do our delegations?
No, we'll put that
Yep.
on the agenda.
Yep, okay. Any correspondence?
No.
Any questions on the treasurer's report?
See a couple big things, just.
Yep, go ahead.
sorry,
Oh, no,
just
that's
Playground equipment that was encumbered from last year, so we got that taken care of, so, that was a big thing, so everything good with that, Mrs. Paul?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, so it seems to be going good, so. Other than that, I don't know, that's anything out of the ordinary.
Like some state
Sped
sped money.
That's the flow through.
Yeah, the flow through, yeah, exactly, that's what Pam said, you guys would recognize that, but that
Yeah.
is our flow through payment.
What was that Board of Education furniture? What was that?
I got a new desk and we got some new tables in the meeting room and some new chairs, so that's what that was, so.
Okay, anything else? I move that we adopt the minutes of the regular board meeting on October 12th, 2022. Approve the treasurer's report as of October 31st, 2022. Replenish petty cash in the middle school of $14, in the district office of $25, and the payment of the bills to be allowed in the total amount of $538,105.95 for November 9th, 2022, and the October 22 payroll in the amount of $491,045.63.
Second.
Was that you, Court? PJ. Parsons.
Aye.
Heppenstall.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Bowen.
Aye.
Linton.
Aye.
Bellinger.
All right, we have a presentation from the Lady Indians on the Run.
Yes, and I have, you can come up here if you would like. Are you good? She's good.
Okay.
So we previously used to have the Girls on the Run program, and it was very successful and we loved it, but the partnership that we had in Topeka closed, and so the next partnership was in Manhattan, and so instead of doing that, we just kind of formed our own. So instead of Girls on the Run, we are Lady Indians on the Run. And so just to give you some information, it is a program where we integrate some social emotional skills with running. And so at first when the girls come out, they're a little bit like, I can't run. And by the end, after our 6 weeks, they each run a 5K, which is an awesome accomplishment for them. So we work on developing strategies and developing skills that are gonna help them kind of navigate some life experiences and are very relevant to their age group. We work on topics such as friendship and how to handle stressful situations and problem solving. We had 23 girls. This program is for 3rd through 5th grade girls. We had 23 girls out this season, which is one of our largest numbers. Myself and Colleen Stuckey are the coaches. We were sponsored by the Conrad Carlson Foundation this year, and what they do for us is they supply a snack for every girl for every session, and we meet twice a week for 6 weeks. And then they also supply these shirts. Thank you, Nan. KB's help us out there. And so these are 2 of my 5th graders, and they lovingly volunteered to kind of just give you some information about how Girls on the Run, Lady Unions on the Run, has kind of impacted them. So this is Gracie Heptonstall. I'll let you go first.
So one of the things we learned is how to have our inner star power, and it's like to help be the best you possible. And then we learned a couple skills, you could use the star power to get like a job, or like if you're just like sad, and, like some stuff like to help you like kind of get ready. And then one of my favorite things that I most enjoyed about Girls on the Run was all my friends helping me through it, and the teachers that did it too.
Awesome.
Thank you, ma'am. And I will say, having 3rd through 5th grade girls together, it's kind of interesting to see their dynamic. You know, 3rd graders don't interact with 5th graders very often, but it's really cool to see them all like work together and become friends when they didn't really know each other and things like that. So we talk a lot about how do you make friendships with people, how do you keep friendships with people, and that's one of the things that I always love is seeing those interactions. This is Kaylin Geller. She's another 5th grader.
Something that I learned from Lady Indians on the Run is I learned how to like help deal with or solve some life problems now and when I get older. I could use these skills to get more friends, keep myself positive, and make others positive. What I enjoyed the most was that I got to like start to make more friends, discover similarities with other girls, and I got to have fun.
So
Awesome.
thank you guys, and we appreciate the school's support of our program and getting to use the track in the school, and I feel like this program is like very, very helpful to girls, and love to when there's lots of them out, so thank you guys.
Excellent. Thank you so much for. Well, there went the fun stuff. I know. Now we get to talk about district policies. Yay! All right. Thank you, ladies. Okay, now we have one old business item, our district policy review. So we had homework to review. I'm gonna hand the mic over to Kat.
So last month, we talked about this, we shared what the old policies were, and then we sent it to KSB for them to review that, just to make sure everything was up to date as it can be based on their recommendations. KSB does biannual recommendations, June and December, I think, or January, and to help us as school districts keep our policies up to date with wording and different things that are happening legally, just to make sure that we're doing that. So the recommendation was a couple months ago to send it to KSB to do their policy light review. They've done that. They sent that back. I shared with you the old policies, the KSB recommendations, and then broke it down into a revision to, for each policy that they had that was changed. And to give you the information of why it changed, it could have been just put superintendent in there or different things, but for the most part, all but a couple policies that we really need to talk about tonight for some direction. But everything else was just some, wording and things. And Kat was gracious enough to go through that, and she had some questions, so I'll kind of turn it over to her, and then we can kind of answer those and go from there. So does that work?
Does that work for you? Thank you.
Yeah, so I sent a list to Ted on Monday, just so you'd have a chance to look through it, provide any responses. I'm good with all the responses. There was just a couple that I thought, ooh, this might be good for the rest of the board to understand. So there's a section DH, not that I remember what it's called. I believe it's the bonding.
Right.
And so we're increasing our amount by $7,500, so up to $25,000 per incident. And my question was related to how many people do we have as part of this policy, and do we need to have more people under it? So you answered the question, but I think it's a good discussion.
Right, it is, and we had that conversation within the district. So in that policy, it says that the superintendent, the clerk, and the treasurer should be bonded to do that. Others that could be bonded are secretaries or anybody that handles money on a regular basis and that. But the only person that is bonded in the district is Pam as the treasurer. We pay $100 a year for that. Our provider that's the base amount is the $25,000 per incident. That's where that came from the provider. But according to policy, all three of us should be bonded for sure. And then we have the option to add others. So that's, discussion for the board to have as the direction to do that. Pam's the only one that is bonded in the district right now.
And it's 25,000 per person?
Yes, per person, that's what we understood, yes.
So then that would take it up from like 25 to at least 75 to match the policy if we put it in place. Because it's talking about 3 people.
Yeah, but our provider is just $100 per year to get them to that.
Oh, gotcha.
So for that to be at least to that amount, the 25,000, so it's increased, I don't know why, to be honest with you, but,
So it basically costs us $300 to do all three of you that.
for sure, and then if we want the secretaries, that have deal with activities funds and things of that nature, that's a possibility to add that too. So, but we've been doing this a long time with Pam and, but with change, I think it might be good because you just never know. So do you have something, Corey?
No, I'm good.
I'm good with it just being the 3.
Yeah, okay. That's what the policy says. The superintendent, the clerk, and the treasurer should be bonded. So we'll get that taken care of.
Let's see, the other one I wanted to bring up was GAOD. Again, don't remember the title of it, but a piece that was removed.
Student Transportation Disclosure Form.
GAOD.
GAOD, is that what that says?
It should be drug testing.
There should be drug testing from a staff perspective, because we removed the words reasonable suspicion. And it was in the kind of current policy that we have, and in the updated one, it's been removed. And so I was just questioning that of, hey, should we put that back in there? So that we have the right to do reasonable suspicion testing.
So in my response to that, since we don't have drug testing for certified, any staff member that we hire, we don't require them to be tested, and we don't do that. The only people that do that are bus drivers, and that's because it's required by law that they be tested and be in a pool. So that I'm not sure why reasonable suspicion was removed from that. Would have been a KSB recommendation to remove that. But as the authority, as a superintendent myself, if we have reasonable suspicion that someone is under the influence, a staff member, we would have to, I've been trained in it as a transportation director. It's been years ago. I need to get retrained just to get updated. But any law enforcement is trained in reasonable suspicion, and we can have them observe that staff member to see if there's reasonable suspicion for us to take that further. And I have the authority as a superintendent, of the district to put that in motion. So whether it's in there or not, I can do it anyways, is my
So,
understanding.
and this is in reference to staff, what about student? Or
Same thing.
It's students and staff, just
Same
wanted to
thing.
make sure, so,
But you have to be trained in it in order to move forward with it. And if you feel like there's reasonable suspicion based on your training, then you can move forward with whatever we as a district decide to do,
is this something that like Natasha should be trained in?
You can do that.
I'm
but
just
since
curious,
Since
just
we
with-
have an SRO, I feel like
He
we've had
plays that role.
We've had that situation already where he's had to go view and do that. Again, I have been trained, but it's, again, been a few years,
So does the SRO have the authority for us to move forward with any testing or?
No, we would have to make that decision locally. So if he feels like that's, then we can bring that student in, or I as a superintendent could bring that and question them and go through that process to do that. So
Okay, that was just
at
trying to
our
understand.
direction, it would be, we'd ask him to go observe that student. or
So we'd
staff
ask
member.
him, okay.
Yes.
And then if he says, yeah.
I believe so.
I believe so.
Then we can move forward with questioning and then subjection to test and things of that nature.
But do
in
you
order-
have to be there or can Natasha take care of that?
She can do that with students. I would want to be
got it.
there with staff.
Staff, got
Yeah, as part of that. to support
Okay.
the building principals to do that.
Okay, so if she's working with SRO, then she would have the authority to make that call.
To take that a step forward,
Okay.
which we've had to do this year with the student.
That's unfortunate. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure we have the right to do it.
Mhm.
Like, if it's not in there, do we really have?
I think keep the words back in there. Sounds
Good.
like would be my only, I think we're in agreeance across the board.
Make it more clear cut so that if it does ever happen, we can say, yeah, but that's.
It's in their policy.
There's no question about it.
Right.
So did they remove the whole paragraph or just those words? Cause the
No, I'm trying
shortcut
to-
explanation says that the second and third paragraph were removed.
Go ahead.
I was like, you probably have the actual policy open.
Yeah, I don't know, I think it was shortened down because, again, we don't require testing to be hired. And that's what I understood it to be.
Because we can do it on site.
Well,
What's that
but
mean?
it's not, for employment, we don't require
Oh, to be
testing.
hired.
Yes.
I
As-
thought you meant
as
to be
part of-
hiring the testers.
And we don't test certified staff at
Yes.
any time, and so,
So that paragraph then, we would drop the first sentence, all new district employees shall be offered conditional contracts dependent upon successful completion of qualified drug tests. That would go away.
mhm.
And then we would keep the next one that says, employees may be subject to random testing throughout the year and in response to situations resulting in reasonable suspicion, or do we drop the random out of that as well?
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be random, yeah, it would be
Yeah,
as,
so we don't
as
do random
determined through the
employees.
reasonable.
We just do random for this.
So it would
Athlete.
just be the reasonable suspicion.
That's a whole different conversation we could talk about when we review policies, in June or whatever, we could do that, when we do policy review, but, I'm not prepared to have that conversation tonight, though, but we can talk about that then.
I just wanted to make sure I understood, and then the next one where it's, the next paragraph had to do with, incidents that result in damage of excess of $500, and we're getting rid of that one, correct?
What page are you on? And then I'm almost there.
I'm on page,
Yeah, my search is not working real well.
I know.
259.
Oh, I was down at 530. It's only 707 pages, just for those in the know.
It's on page 259.
Thank you, thank you.
And the PDF does not allow you to search.
Yeah, and it doesn't like to scroll very nicely either. Okay. All right, so. Just want to make sure, because we do have to do a motion on this one, so.
Well, it'd be, just the whole revision as presented.
As presented with the exception of,
Well, I mean, even as we talk this, I'll make those,
this is the presentation
yes,
of it.
yes, through that discussion and that.
That'll make it a lot easier.
Thank you.
Yeah, so.
Fantastic, okay,
So
thank
the
you.
revisions are
Okay.
the recommendation.
Got
But
it.
there's, the ones that Kat had brought up, but then the other one is the nepotism policy, that's in there. At one point, the 2 paragraphs were removed, by the district locally. KSB is recommending those be put back in. And really what what putting that back in is really that, that the district can hire the best person for that job. And nepotism shouldn't play a factor in that, into hiring the best person for the job. The administration has the due diligence to make sure it's the best person for that job, and they should not be influenced by nepotism through that process. And that's what adding those 2 paragraphs are. I don't know why they were removed, but that's basically what it comes down to in that nepotism, adding those 2 paragraphs back in. And that's what KSB has recommended.
I didn't know we had them in there prior to. Okay.
Yeah, that's what, at some point it was taken out, it was a local decision to take those 2 paragraphs out, and KSB is recommending to put those back in.
I thought they read really well, so.
Yeah,
I
so.
did too. I did read some, everyone, just not all
And
7.
there was another question that Kat had, and we can just talk about that, and it was reduction in staff. They have a lot of wording, and what we have is what I like, it just says refer to the negotiated agreement and how that's laid out. If that's to be changed in any way, then we'd have to go through negotiations to look at that and have that conversation then. But that is negotiated in the reduction of staff and the considerations you should make in that. But that's negotiated, and that's how it's stated in the policy, the district policy, to refer to the negotiated handbook. But if we were to consider that, then we do that through negotiations.
Yeah, I said, here's a third option, what about these others?
Yeah, so, and it's pretty detailed, but, you know, it's something we can look at as through negotiations if we choose to do that, so.
Okay.
All right, any other
Yeah,
things?
the rest he answered and they made complete sense, so thank you.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the district policy updates as presented.
Second.
Williams,
Aye.
Bellinger,
Aye.
Parsons,
Aye.
Linton,
Aye.
Heppenstall.
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Bowen.
Aye. Okay, next we have our emergency operation plan.
So one of the things I've been working on since I've been here is just an update of the crisis plan and now being called the emergency operations plan. And just, it's really just a reformat of what was in place. 2018 was really the last, where the plan was last really revised. This just brings it into a national standard in formatting and conversation to do that. So really all it is a reformat of the plan, and it does include some things that weren't included before, but it's not that they weren't part of the plan specifically. So just to go through, there's two documents here, and one, we're just gonna, these won't be, I mean, they'll be made to the board and they'll be available in the district office, but for security reasons, we're just gonna keep it at that for right now. But I'm just gonna give you, this is, the big thicker one is the overall plan.
Do I have a copy of this?
It should be in your.
Oh, yes, I have,
Yes.
okay.
I don't
thank
have
you.
hard copies.
That's fine,
yeah.
no, that's fine. I
So,
don't need them,
but this, I just have them for myself, so.
Okay, I'm just making sure I wasn't missing it.
So we have the big EOP, and then we have the quick guide. This is what will be displayed in the offices and the classrooms for the teachers. It will be updated yearly with staff changes and things of that nature to do that. So the purpose of the plan is to identify, guide, and support the actions of the school district and our employees when responding to incidents as outlined in this document. These guidelines are meant to be flexible, revised, and expanded to meet the needs of each school and situation. The contents of this plan will be regularly reviewed and practiced with training provided to staff who will carry out the responsibilities of this plan. So if we do a drill or we have an incident, we'll debrief. If we need to change an update, then we'll do that. And every year, the board will take action on this plan as just, because if there are updates or things that change or add, and just as your role as the board is the safety and security of the district. And so every year we will take action, probably not maybe September, August, I don't know, but just depends on how much turnover and stuff we have, but you will take action on it. So that's the purpose of this. The scope of the plan just really lines out the mitigation and prevention, talking about ongoing activities to eliminate or reduce the risk of hazards and vulnerabilities, make sure we're having those conversations. The preparedness and planning part of it, activities that improve the coordination and develops capacity of response actions. Basically, what are we going to do if this happens, and plan and practice and go through that. The response, what is that period shortly before, during, and after the incident, when activities are conducted in order to save lives, minimize property damage, and protect the environment. So we always want to have a response to a situation that's crisis or in disaster or something to that part. And then lastly, recovery. What is the follow-up with that? How do we debrief, basically and try to keep that from happening again if we can. And then lastly, it's not lastly, but just overall, it really establishes the adoption of the National Incident Management System and identifies an incident command system and who has roles in that as throughout the district. So people know that, and if we have to evacuate the building, people know who those people are and have that role, and they can do that, and we can provide that training and do that. So really, that's there's a lot of information, but it breaks down the steps of if there's a water line break, if it's we have a train wreck out here and we have chemical exposure, what are the steps we need to do and things of that nature. So it's laid out there. That was in the previous plan. It's just again a reformat of that. To do that. So again, the quick guide is a smaller version of the overall emergency operations plan. These again will go in all the offices and classrooms and be visible and easily accessible. Excuse me. They'll be updated yearly with staff changes. Provide reminders for the staff. Every year they'll have the time to review that, and there's a reminders page in there of how this works and just some key points. And then we also have reminders for the students that we'll address yearly with the students to talk about that. We'll just shut down the day really and take 30 minutes to go over the Emergency Operations Quick Guide. And so have some student reminders on that. It has situational guides for the staff to have quick access to, information about the incident command system, and then identify specific staff and their roles, building maps and reunification responsibilities if we were in need to do that. Our plan is to have a drill in the spring with reunification and go through that process. But the plan's in a good place. It's ready to work. It's just, we have some things to work out, and the kinks is a part of that. But I feel comfortable making the recommendation tonight to adopt the updated emergency operation plan and the quick guide. And I'll take any questions you guys might have.
So when the drill happens and let's say you guys go through the quick guide or you go through the full procedure document, is it just a simple thing of, hey, this didn't quite work how we wanted it
Right.
to, but we like what we did, so
Yeah.
we can make an update for the next
Yeah,
round?
the admin team, crisis team will get together. Felix will be, Officer Nunez will be involved in that, and we get afterwards talk about, hey, we have this communication breakdown. Maybe this is not the best space. We'll debrief as we go through that. But every incident we have, if it might not be, if it's just like a certain building, we might just meet with that staff, the counselors, and part of that. But it will always be a debrief to live and learn from it.
Does anybody have any other questions? All right. Are we ready to, I make a motion that we approve the emergency operations plan as presented.
Second.
This is awesome.
Hellinger.
Aye.
Linton.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Parsons.
Aye.
Bowen.
Aye.
Heppenstall.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
All right, capital outlay projects.
So since I've come on board, just some things have been brought to the attention to really evaluate and plan for facility upgrades and improvements, look at potential capital outlay projects that are out there, and really just evaluate as we move forward and create a strategic plan as it relates to facilities, a 3 to 5 year plan as we do this. And so this is the start of that. And since I've come, I've met with the admin team, I met with Andy. Troy gave me a good follow-up of some things that need to be considered as him going out, me coming in. Met with Jimmy to talk about activities, and he met with the coaches and just, and so this is what started in this improvement or facilities document that I've put together. And it just kind of really, what it lays out is, it talks about some demographic information that we have for the district to do. Again, this is just really draft form to kind of get putting this together, working with the board and the staff will be a part of this as well. But it has some different demographic information that we have within our budget. Talks about the number of staff we have, our student population, our free and reduced head count, or just overall head count, and then our free and reduced information. Just things to be thinking about down the road as we go through this and the trends that are included in that. Along with that, there's information about just the capital improvements list is called the facility and capital improvement recommendations. Again, this list was compiled by talking to the people since I've been here, and just getting an idea of what are those things that need to be addressed and need to be considered in taking care of as it relates to facility and capital outlay. So, and then it transitions into the capital outlay fund. It talks about how capital outlay funds can be spent. What are those eligible expenditures? Has those lists. What are expenditures that are not allowed is included in that in eligible expenditures, and breaks that down. Like athletic equipment. Yes, we can do that for substantial gymnasium equipment, but we can't buy supplies like for balls and PE, things of that nature can't come out of capital outlay. So this comes straight from KSDE, just for your information as what capital outlay can be. So.
Stop buying all those DVDs.
Yeah, exactly.
No DVDs can be used.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, Natasha, you're gonna have to
Yeah.
cancel your DVD order.
Cancel the, sorry, that just made me
that's good.
laugh. I was
Okay.
random. DVD.
So it gives you that information about what capital outlay can be, how, the rules related to that. And then that next section is our local capital outlay fund, and I provided a copy of what it is in the budget. And, it stayed the same. Troy's, was consistent with budgeting. It was, he would transfer to make sure that capital outlay stayed where it was based on, bus purchases, different projects that they've done. And so it's kept that consistent. So that has put the district in a good place to do that. And in talking to Fred Meyer, who works with Greenbush and works with the district and getting to know the budget as we've gone through this is, basically what he says, we have about $450,000 to $500,000 a year to address with capital outlay projects based on what we've done with the mill levy. We added, 0.5 to that, but just the trend that's gone with that. So every year we'd have about that $450,000 to $500,000 range, which can help us build a 3 to 5 year strategic plan of some items that we, need to take care of, whether it's roofs, whether it's, athletic, things that are going on, furniture, and I mean, just depending on what that is. And these are listed in this guide, I guess you could say. So that you can see the trend that's gone there, that the information from the budget. And then the last 2 pages are basically things that have been brought up through my conversations and working on what those estimated costs are and how much those are as we go through that. So you kind of get an idea of what those are. You as board members have not had input into this. If there's things that I've missed that you think that need to be in consideration for improvements or new or whatever, we want to get those added and then start building this plan when we do meet and have our little what's the word I want?
Planning session.
Yeah, planning session, thank you. That we'll have this to really start building that strategic plan as a group. But we need to get this information as thorough as possible for you guys to have some idea of what those are. So any questions about this document? That's again a draft, just starting to put it together. Hopefully gives you some information and understanding, but is there anything I missed on there that you're aware of that needs to be in consideration? You can tell me later, or we can, if you have ideas now, I'll be happy to take those. That's the kind of start of the conversation as we get going here tonight.
So based on what is eligible, and I know you are having conversations with like the building principals, is there a way that to ensure that everyone's having input? Like I would be a great resource
Sure.
on what we need, just because I'm not in the buildings every
Yeah.
day. I mean, I visually know some things, but not. So I would hope that we are actually talking to, hopefully getting input, I would say, from all of the stakeholders in the
Yeah.
building.
And that, I'm not sure that's happened yet.
Not yet, but I mean,
But
before we
we will
lay
definitely,
everything
yeah,
out
yeah.
and kind of have this all filled
And the
in.
input on the plan and things of that nature, the principals listen to their staff, so I'm hoping they're bringing that information to me. Jimmy working with the coaches and Tim, that they're
Perfect,
bringing that
yeah.
information as well. So we're still, again, just growing this to get the information as we can
So
go through.
overall, our balance is probably a little higher than it needs to be. Just, I think based on the recommendation from,
Yeah, there's some room for us to do
There's
some
a little
things
room
within
for-
the budget to do that.
Right.
Will we, do the 450,000 every year? I don't know, it just depends on how we plan that out.
Right.
As with our strategic plan.
because last year around this time maybe was when we decided to do the playground equipment, just knowing that we didn't really have anything, other major things on the horizon beyond a bus which does the bus count? I forget what it
Yes.
falls under. Yes, bus and that, so.
One thing to consider with this is if and when, or if or when we ever do another bond issue, there are
Right.
a lot of capital expenses that either go with it, or you do as you reduce the bond a little bit and use capital for it, and those are things we'll have to consider
Part of that planning.
as we go forward and do that kind of planning as well.
Yeah.
This list is kind of the stuff that's more normal, but the project side of it is also.
Well, there's some big, like the middle school windows, I mean, that's a big ticket item and things, and, where can that fall in, and just through those conversations, we can, to lead to that, good point.
So are we doing anything now or preparing to do anything?
Well, that's the next part of this conversation, we're gonna talk about, needing some guidance from you guys on that, so, any questions about the document before I transition to the next part?
No, I think it's gonna make it really easy.
A great start, yeah.
That's a good plan.
So, but if you have things that you're, maybe we missed or, but just, again, I've only been here a few months and just trying to see some things, but everybody's been good about, giving input to do that, so.
Actually, something I just thought of, because we received a list from Mr. Hutton, it's been a while, that had a list of, hey, here's all the possible
Right.
things we could do, maybe even with ESSER money versus outside of ESSER. Did you get a copy of that to input in?
I don't remember, I'm sure I did because I have the whole ESSER file that he had
Yeah.
left over, but he did have a document started with this basically of those things. And so I just kind of, what has been done, several that have already been done and what still needs to be on that list, but,
So I was
as,
thinking he had to meet with
But the ideas
staff.
for the stakeholders on the ESSER.
We had to like.
For the ESSER we had to,
all these
right.
different
yeah,
groups.
and that's that information, that plan's already been submitted, the ESSER 3. We'll have some
Yep.
tweaks to that and we're gonna talk about one of those tonight, that we can do, but that, that was all shared. And we haven't done a lot with ESSER 3.
I think the original list was much larger than what
Yes,
we ended up
it was a
doing, and I
much
think
bigger
that's
list.
what you're asking about.
Yeah, I had one, I found his, what he had listed of things, and again, a lot of those had been done, but there were still some things, and they're included on this, in this list that were started from him.
Right.
Okay, so,
No, go ahead. I was,
Okay.
yep.
so as another part of this conversation is guidance from you as a board, and if, as part of anything over $20,000, the district's required to put out to bid, unless it's on the state bid list, which KSD works with, vehicles and different things. There's a variety of state bid lists that are approved that don't have to go through the bid process. Greenbush also has they have a vendor list, and they would be considered a state bid list. The vendors on this list, depending on what it is, anywhere from lighting to sports equipment to athletic equipment to, or turf, or they have a bunch of variety of things that they would qualify for being as part of a bid list. And if you utilize them, that on the Greenbush vendor list, you would not have to put things out for proposal. Does that make sense? So there's a couple options to look at that. You have the state bid.
Have you done any with Sourcewell?
I've heard of that, but that's been a long time since I've heard of Sourcewell.
It's a governmental cooperative purchasing program where it's been bid at the national level. And then they come in with the Sourcewell discounts and then the documentation that satisfy the
Right.
implications with that.
That's basically what Greenbush has done, and I've heard of that, but that's been a few years back, I think, but I can look into that.
I work
Appreciate
a
that.
lot, so.
Okay.
One of the nice things about that is allows you to sit down and create a plan with the vendors and the products and what have you that you need, instead of going out for the cheapest bid and trying to sort through that.
And that's what I need guidance on tonight from you guys as we do that. So we have a particular situation here that I just want to get some guidance and feedback on. And one of the things that Troy told me that needed to be done was the resurfacing of the track. And Troy had gotten a quote from Mac Associates, which is the company that installed the track 10 years ago. And at that time, it was $102,000 to do a respray, which is basically adding more track, I don't know how much to do that, but adds more track, and then you repaint it and go through that. And basically it extends the life 8 to 10 years to do that. And we're at the perfect time to do that, to extend the life of the track. And that includes the running areas and javelin area and all that has that. So he had got a quote in 2021. And just, again, the whole request for proposal and looking at that. So I reached out to Greenbush to see if there was someone on the bid list, their vendor list, that provides this resource or to do resprays, and they have one. So I put in contact with them. They came up. They provided me a quote, this Banon Sports, but their quote was $148,294. So I reached back out to Mac Associates and asked them, could you send me an updated quote? Because that was in 21, inflation and everything. There might be, some changes in there. So they were kind enough to send one, and it increased from $102,000 to $118,234. So you see the difference there that you have in this particular situation, which is significant. And I talked to Kelly and Todd about this at our agenda meeting, and just kind of some guidance, in that. It's not that I don't wanna put it out to bid, you know, it's a process, I'm not saying that. I know Bainon's a good product, they come highly recommended, Pittsburgh Chanutes use them, speak highly of their work and their, things of that nature. But the difference that the price is, I think it's a board decision on guidance on how we should consider something like that, because we can get the information like David's talking, I can reach out and say, hey, can you give me an idea what this might cost for something? And then I can compare that to the state bid information that we get, like I did in this situation. But this is a significant difference that I would like to have a conversation and some guidance from the board about the state bid list versus request for proposal. And Todd had a good idea. I don't know if you want to share that or just a thought.
Kind of the idea of, let's establish a threshold, whether it's a dollar amount or a percentage. That we say, if you're this far away and, you know, 20,000, at 20,000, we have to go through the bid process. So if it's over 20,000 in difference, then, you know, we would want the bid process. Or we set it as a percentage and say, hey, if it's, you know, 25% higher than going out for a bid, based on just the estimates, then we want you to go through the bid process. Just some kind of guideline so that we don't have to have a discussion on each and every one and Ted knows which way to go. And I don't know whether that's the sound or the right methodology, but it feels like there's gotta be a trigger that we can give him that says, okay, now you need to take the next step.
One of the things I would say that comes with municipal bidding a lot of times is comparable work scopes. There's a lot of direction or a lot of times you can cut corners to bring good numbers on it, but are we getting like kind services? You know, if we're comparing the absolute minimum to something that's gonna last us, you know, 10 to 15 years as opposed to something maybe that's gonna handle 8 to 10, I'd be interested in that. In that case, $20,000 would be cheaper if it would extend the life past the 8 to 10. So I guess that would be the place I'd like to see first.
Yeah, and if you,
the work scopes.
right, if you put that out to bid, you could, you know, make sure you have those scopes and you know, so you don't necessarily have to take a low bid because they might not. What you're referring to, you have your rubric, they get bad references or whatever, we can disqualify them to do that as you go through those proposals. But again, the bid list just keeps you from having to do all that. Again, not opposed, but again, we'll be transparent on where we're coming with this as we go through that. But it's just, I just kind of want to get that feel from you guys of.
So you're saying if we do the bid list, we wouldn't be able to see the detail of how they came up with their quote? It would just be, hey, here's their bid?
No, we could get that as well as detailed as, you know, as you want it to be, but they don't have to, we don't have to do as a district, if we use the bid list, to put that proposal out to a bunch of different companies to do the project, which would be listed in.
Oh, you could just go, sorry.
No, that's all right, it's kind of confusing.
I know,
It
it's-
is,
Greenbush,
yeah.
look at the list, and hey, these have already been approved.
Vetted
by
and
their
approved, and
process, and we're
Yeah.
just gonna pick this one.
Right, but this is like, for this instance, it's the only provider they had on their list that could do track resprays. If there was multiple ones, then we can say, hey, you know, reach out to them, you're on the vendor bid list, can you give us a quote of what this would take?
Well, and I would say that probably for track spraying, unlike a lot of other things, is you're gonna have a limited number in an area or that actually do that, but.
Yeah, I was surprised Greenbush had one on their list, to be honest with you.
And I'm just going quick here, the company that Greenbush had, it's out of Calhoun, Georgia.
Yeah, they have an office in Wichita, like I said, they've done Pittsburgh, track, they've done Chanute, locally, there's a few others they've done. It's a quality product from what I've been told and that information, but the difference in those quotes is enough to bring it to the table to get some guidance here.
Well, so let's put track on pause for a second.
Okay.
I agree on the $20,000 difference, that if there is a difference between, I guess, a normal bid and a Greenbush bid,
Yeah.
that we'll have the conversation. I mean, that seems like a pretty reasonable, I don't think you can do percentage just because who knows what we're working on.
So it would basically be, if you're looking at something and on the Greenbush list, it would be
Well,
greater than $25,000, you would reach out to somebody and get an estimate,
yes.
and then you play that difference.
Yeah, and that comes into the whole local, like if we buy a vehicle and we try to do local, but it's probably gonna be cheaper on the state bid list than it is gonna be local. And that's, again, will be a situation when we'd have to talk through as we go through that, because we know we wanna support our local people, but we also have to be conscious of our budget as part of that, so.
Okay, so then,
That's a big project like this.
right,
There's gotta be, in my mind, two triggers. One that makes you say, I can't just look at the list, I need to go get an estimate from somebody else.
Yeah.
And then there has to be a difference between that estimate and what's on the Greenbush or the other approved list, if it's a bus or
Right,
whatever.
yeah,
If there's a difference there, then I get formal bids, if that makes sense.
Well, you could send it out through your listserv and say, hey, who has everybody used to respray a track, for example?
Mhm.
And there could be 4 or 5 or 6 different companies that come back
Right.
that, hey, there you go, there's, options that I can get a bid from
right,
if needed, not just use Greenbush. So-
yeah, and that, I mean, basically you go through that request for proposal from that listserv, yeah.
I think what you're looking for is guidance as to when does the Greenbush or the other approved providers list?
Yeah.
When do I need to step away from that and go with the formal bidding process?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking if there's only one vendor on Greenbush's list, then you need to go out.
That's a good point.
I think that's maybe one trigger, because I don't like the idea of there just being one.
well, it also coupled with a 30 grand difference between what?
Yeah, yeah, but like, if it's just one vendor, then,
Then in the future, we might, we'd probably want to talk,
Gotcha.
that's a good point. So I'd say one vendor, anything over 100 grand. Is that too high? I mean, I just want us to be as conscious as we can
I
be.
think we're gonna end up being flexible on it.
and
Right,
I'll be-
we're pretty,
yeah.
Guidance,
yeah.
not
well,
rule.
so basically what I'm hearing tonight is we need to put this out for bid.
Yeah.
So for the track as we go through that, based on the difference that we have, so.
So, and then if hopefully we'll
And I
have,
have a proposal started, so we can get that out pretty quick.
okay, perfect. So then hopefully by the December meeting, because we'll want to get on their calendar as
Yes.
soon as possible,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Try to get
Then
that
maybe
going.
we can think about it and come back in December with ideas too on what each of us think those targets
Yeah.
might be for.
Yeah, because it's like, maybe we can give a if then.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if this is, then you do this.
Right,
Or, here's your other if then.
yeah, I like that, yeah. End quote, in parentheses minus nested formula, like a crazy nested formula.
yeah.
Okay, and
So
then
the-
in alert,
Yeah, so this leads to it's kind of the.
did I say that right?
Yes, so since I've been here, one of my focuses has been safety and security of the district and looking at that as we go through that. We've updated the emergency operations plan. I have concerns about access to the building and monitoring of that and just coming in, just based on my past experience and I believe it's time for the district to update to do that. So Iron Alert is a district that districts have used for this project, these types of projects. They are on the Greenbush bid list. They come super highly recommended. Andy has reviewed this, and I'm gonna go through this with you in detail, but I think it's things, this is something the district really needs to, or the board needs to really consider in increasing the safety and security of our district. So I reached out to them. They came in alert based on the Greenbush bid and based on, like, Corey, that's really what I did too, like who's been using, and these, number one, where districts have been using them. Olathe, Blue Valley Schools, there was some local, Paola, I think, to use them. They just did a project for Paola. So basically what we asked for is 5 different areas. One was access control, key card entries, and monitoring of that, to do that. The next was vape sensors in the bathrooms mainly, but this is kind of grown. We've learned more about it, so to do that. The intercom surveillance system for the door entries, those are 10 years old. They're getting, Andy's trying to, I think the elementary's bugging a little bit, and so he's trying to make it to do that. So that was another part of the bid. Intrusion system would be panic alerts. There's not panic buttons in the offices. I believe there need to be. So we don't have to call 911. If there's a situation, the secretary's principal or whatever can just hit that button, get automatic notification. And then the access control, just some more interior doors that, we just kind of options to look at for the board to consider. And then the last bid area was an intrusion system out at the sports complex, just for some monitoring purpose to do that. So through all that, and I've shared this information, the quote with you in your folder, but I'm really recommending three areas to consider to take out a capital outlay, and then one to take out to recommend for ESSER. So the first one is access control. For that, we would include 16 exterior access controls, which the high school, middle school, and elementary main entrances will have. There'll be an upgrade of their video part of that, but it will be key card controlled for staff to come in and do that. So that's exterior, and then there's 7 interior keypads, and you can see that where those go here on this map that Andy has provided for you. The green is badge entry, wherever those are. We would get key cards or badges, and they can swipe and they can access, and we can see who comes in and out of the building at any time. We can control who comes in and out of those buildings, and provide like Corey Youth League, we can give you keys to access on the weekends, and you have that to do that, and we can shut those off at any time, or whatever. It just depends if we have a group or an organization to do that. So that's what the green is. The pink, I think that is, I don't know, is some interior that I don't know. I'm not recommending that right now. But the orange is some other areas for keypad entries on the interior. And then the video intercom is at the 3 main entrances, which I haven't got to yet, but that's next. So the first is access control. Basically would increase that. We'd eliminate as many keys that's floating out there, and we'd be able to track who's coming in and out of the building, and we'd have certain areas in the district that staff can access the building at any time using their key, just like they would a key, but they'd be using their badge, which it would be their identification as well. So
you're saying that removes the need for physical keys for staff?
Yes.
To get in on weekends?
Yeah.
Or whatever it
Right,
is.
no, we want everybody to go through so we can see who's coming in and out. Like Dan and Jeff, our maintenance guys, will need keys to, manage, throughout the day, but would eliminate those exterior door keys.
I could turn my set in.
Yeah, so exactly.
15 that I have.
Yeah,
Doors then that don't have the badge access, that have no color on them right now.
right.
Would they they would be key only, but only certain people, or how do we? get
Well,
that?
no,
Are there any exterior doors that don't have,
There's a few, but they're not where traffic,
One of them is. From
Like around the middle school.
basketball perspective, basketball games, the one coming in through the middle school into the hall, or from
The link.
up the sidewalk.
right here,
Yeah,
Right here.
this one.
Is that the one?
The one north of the entrance to the middle school, that door right here is an entrance to the basketball games, but
But why would you
But
not
that-
just go in through the middle school entrance?
because it's a loop around, that's
but we wouldn't need card entry for basketball games, that door would just be unlocked, right? I'm just trying to think out
I'm
loud.
trying to think
Yeah.
this through, and that's,
So this
Yeah,
is just
no.
this is just an entry point for,
it's got an exterior sidewalk that leads right to that door.
Yeah,
people park
That's
here
why
and
I
go
was-
in there.
yeah.
But I don't think it would need, but that is interesting that it doesn't have a,
We haven't really used that for an entrance the last several years due to
Okay.
COVID and we just don't.
Okay.
high school, I mean, I know the high school, because that's how I go in, but
Yeah, I was just
there's
curious.
there's a
because
lady there at the table to take your money.
Yeah, so that'd
During
be
the
dogged
games.
down and open, then we'd lock it after it was over, Jimmy could do that to make sure it's locked, do that, so.
So if we put all this security in, how do we still secure with all the keys that are out there today?
Well, that's something we'll have to talk about in the future. We'll ask everybody to turn in their keys and to do that. But if it becomes a problem, then we'd have to consider as one of our items in facility is rekeying the district, which is significant. But that would be for a later conversation. Hopefully, everybody does what they're supposed to, and we got cameras everywhere. We can see who's coming in if they're not keying in, and we can,
I mean, they have keys now.
yeah.
I mean, so they're,
Yeah, but we would ask them to turn those in.
right, I'm just saying,
But if
if they're
they-
still out there.
Right.
it's the same people that still have them, or if there's people that shouldn't be using them, are still shouldn't be using them, but maybe
But
these
we
better
can monitor
cameras
that, yeah.
will be better.
Yeah, we have cameras everywhere
If
to
the
address
door
that.
is accessed, like a monitor door, key, like keyless entry door is accessed via key, will it set a signal off saying that the door was accessed via key? Or without a
Well, it'll document,
it won't say who it was, but
It'll
at
be a
least
history
say,
of that.
hey, we know someone entered this door at this time.
Right, there'll be a list of that we could refer to.
Then you can look at the cameras.
Yeah, and like the main entrances will have the video cameras to do that as we go through that. So that's the first recommendation I have as part of that is the access control. The second is the video intercom surveillance, which again would just be upgrading what's currently there for the 3 main entrances. And this all syncs in with our current video that Andy has, and Andy's just surprised that it will do. They've answered every question Andy's put to these guys, and Andy's pretty thorough.
That's
You know, and he's like, this is impressive. But it will integrate with our current, like the monitor, you know, in the offices. They could use that to let people in through the door because it will seamlessly integrate with our current video monitoring system. So it's amazing what it can all do. So the second recommendation is the intercom surveillance at the main entrance, upgrading those. And then the last one is the intrusion system, which again is the panic button. But not only is it'll be 3 panic buttons in the main offices, and they'll be at the desk to do that. We'll also have 3 portable panic buttons that we could take into the gym. You know, if Jimmy is in there, or, you know, Tim has it, and there's a situation, we can hit that button, and it's gonna notify the local police department, the county, and the state, and people will come. And like the ones in the office will say, the panic button's been pushed in the elementary office, so that tells people that's where you need to go and address that. Those floaters will just be, the district has pushed those to do that. But it's instant. All administrators will get notifications as well as local law enforcement. There is a surveillance fee for that we pay $85 a year for monitoring part of that, but that will be communicated out. It'll be through the network, but if there's a failure within the network, it'll go to, it's also cell could use it as well. You know, I don't know if cell service is not great around here, but it's a backup in case our network is not going. If we have a battery or if we have a power outages, they're hooked to battery backups. And as long as the battery backups are good, they'll continue to stay locked, the magnets, and to do that. So those 3 I'm recommending from Capital Outlay tonight. Again, Andy's, we're not gonna find a better price. You see the discount that they provide in there from the Green Bush 15% discount. That's part of being on the Green Bush bid list. Again, highly recommended. So I'm recommending those 3 areas not to exceed $132,032.38 for those 3 quotes that we have. If later in the future we want to do some interior doors, we want to look at the sports complex, we could do that. But right now, this is the main focus area I believe that we need to address in the district. So I want to recommend that to be used for capital outlay.
So badge entry, I'm just gonna say it real
Yeah.
quick, badge entries, the new video intercoms for the 3 main entrances and the panic buttons.
Yes. And along with the panic buttons will be door monitoring. If there's a door left open, whatever time frame we put that it's propped open, we'll, you know, like Felix can get a notification, Andy, any of the principals can get a notification, such and such door is propped open, it's not secure. And so we can go immediately check that door and see what's going on. If somebody propped it, if it just didn't close maybe, you know, and we can address that to do that. So that's included.
We're not gonna leave a door open all night.
Right, or
Accidentally.
during the school day.
Or during the day,
If one
right.
of the kid props it open to let his buddy in, cause he's running out to get something, and, you know, somebody's gonna get a notification, so that door's propped open, and you need to go check it out. And that's included in the intrusion system.
So as a staff member that's gonna be coming in and out, let's say they try to get in at, 7:30 in the morning and they realize, oh my gosh, I left my badge in my classroom. Who do they contact, what do they do, how do they get in?
They'd have to wait for somebody to come, or, you know, if the principals are nice enough to do that. But they'll get in the habit, I mean, it's just.
Like having a key.
Yeah, but your ID, and then we'll talk about this, but IDs we're starting tomorrow, everyone will be required to wear their IDs full-time during the school day. And so they have to have it on them, it's part of their everyday routine, so.
And that will
hopefully-
be their access badge.
And then we can print on the key card their ID badge as well, so they'll have that with them all the time. They just have to get in the habit of doing it. good question.
Good question. Any other questions?
So, okay, I guess, and then the other recommendation I have, and we can use, this is to put for ESER 3, is the Halo vape sensors. And these aren't just vape detectors. These will be 10 sensors installed, you can see where they are, in the purple throughout the district. These sensors will cover 3 main areas. The one is health. They can measure the health index, whatever that means, I'm not for sure. Air quality index, which will allow us to use for ESER, because that's part of ESER is to monitoring air quality. Carbon dioxide, nitrogen dioxide. It can detect the humidity in the building, the temperature, and certain particulates. So on the health part of that, that's what's included in these sensors. On the safety part of that, it can, if somebody yells for help, verbally yells for help, it'll detect that and somebody will get a notification. If there's a gunshot or if there's a fight, aggression, somebody
That's
gets louder
crazy.
than normal, it'll send an alert to Natasha, something going on in the bathroom. You need to get down there to do that. So it has that safety part of that. If it's a gunshot, it's gonna detect it and that everybody will be alerted who's on that alert
So
part
is
of
it
it.
something that'll be shared with the students, cause I'm just imagining,
Yeah,
Tasha, like someone saying, yeah, let's test this out,
Yeah.
help,
yeah.
and see what happens.
But it also does the vape detecting, it'll detect THC, it'll detect vape, and then if there's vape masking, whatever the, kids are figuring out, that will also be detected within this one sensor.
Right, that's
So pretty
amazing.
thorough, it's not just a vape sensor, it has a lot of components to that. And it's, the InAlert they rave about it, how good they are. And so those notifications will be set up. We will manage all this through the district office, is the plan, that Pam will be the issuer of key cards, assigning, if we need to turn off somebody's key card that hasn't turned it back in, she'll be the one to do that, and monitoring access and things of that nature, so we'll be doing that through that.
On those smart sensors,
Yeah.
like for instance, over by the wood shop, is it gonna detect it all the time? Because you're gonna have a lot of, dust and particles coming into the building
Yeah.
all the time. Is that gonna be?
I imagine we can, configure
Manipulate
that
one,
to maybe not do that area or whatever, that's a good point, but we'll just have to learn through that, if that air quality part of that, yeah,
Quite a ways away from us.
yeah. But that could be a possibility, so,
The ESER ones, does that require us to change the application?
Yes.
Reapply on?
yeah, so the ESER 3 has been approved, but we have some things haven't been purchased, that said they were gonna be purchased, so we have some flexibility. We just have to resubmit and give our explanations, and, other districts have done this, so with the Halo vapes.
Do we do that prior to actually doing that item, or do we do that?
Well, my recommendation is to add it to the ESER 3 to be approved.
Okay.
Is what I'm
Okay,
doing,
and
just
then
getting
once-
permission to do that, to
Okay.
the quote for the Halo Vape smart sensors. So those are my 2 recommendations.
My only other thing was in the big gym when we get really loud.
Yeah, so I'm sure you could.
Yeah,
you
I'm
can
but
monitor that. I mean,
also if
set
something violent happens, you want it
The
to.
sensor to be
pick
something
it up,
different, yeah,
I guess we'll have a panic button there. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Is there a warranty or maintenance program on these?
Yeah, if you look at some of that, I'm drawing a blank on the warranty now that you asked me that, but, Andy asked that, so, I think it's a 5-year warranty, if I remember correctly, but I can get that information to you guys specifically, so. But like Andy had the question, they're based out of Wichita, but there's an office in Lawrence. And Andy had his questions, so the guy drove down here Monday and sat with us and answered every question. If we have an issue, they're less than an hour away and to come to help to do that, so, but I'll check on that warranty. CJ.
Is there a decibel level that this sets off? Because someone drops a board in the.
I believe that's how it works. If a textbook's dropped in the hallway, that could set it off. And we'll just have to work through those as we learn through them.
But these set-offs aren't like calling the police immediately, right?
Yeah,
Or depend-
no, this would just be in-house, depending on the area.
Like, got it, yeah.
Felix is gonna get all of them, so he might be a little busy, but we could break it depending on the area that it's in too, so.
Got it.
Talk to me about the significance of these red or orange doors, do we need those now?
I don't believe let me see here, which one is, the pink ones would be the additional ones to add to that. Felix just recommended those for just an additional security to some of those areas.
The red ones are included.
Yes,
Okay, so that's not,
the red ones are some of those that are included, whether it's the auditorium, and those will be key card entries as well as,
okay, those are the
Key
ones I
cards.
just didn't know, like, do we need them, and if we choose.
I don't believe, I think it'd be more of an inconvenience right now, but if it's something as we, really like these and, the access to the nursing
The pink
stations
ones.
and different things.
Red ones.
Oh, the red ones, once you're
Do we
in.
need the red ones, or is it a thing like, hey, if we buy this package, that's included?
They were just included as part of the quote to do that, and that, again, in working with Andy and Felix thought it would be good to have some interior access points to do that.
But those are also, I'm assuming, are doors that we'd have the ability to keep propped open.
Well, or we could deactivate them at certain times during.
That's what I'm wondering,
Yeah, 'cause
Kat.
like, these
Bring in
look like
concert,
they're
like-
in
Yeah.
between,
Yeah,
the schools.
Well, those are kept, like those ones at the elementary entrance, those are kept shut during the school day, aren't they, already? Like heading in, from the elementary, heading into the high school
those
hallway?
blue doors.
The left, yeah, I was gonna say, the left ones are when you come in, those are, but these ones aren't, they're left open.
Okay,
But like the auditorium's locked down all day, so a teacher could just use their key card to access,
got it, okay.
to do
Because
that.
that's how they get
This
to,
is my point of view.
like PE and,
Some of these,
Oh,
some of these outdoor accesses that we're not gonna monitor might be where something happens. I counted 17
Right.
outside access doors. If we're gonna do it, I mean, I know it's gonna be more money, but I would rather, be able to see all of them than.
Well, we can come back, I mean, we could look at that for next year too, Tyler. I mean, to be honest with you, we could see how this goes. If we learn through that, those access points or whatever need additional, we can do that. I think it's a good starting point for us, for sure.
There's 17 that don't have a
Yeah, but
recommended,
those-
because
but
there's
those-
so many,
But
yeah.
those doors will be monitored with, if they're propped open, just,
So those, all
Yes.
outside accesses
Yes.
will be monitored.
will be monitored, is the plan.
Oh, got it, okay,
But
got it.
they might not necessarily have the key card entry.
To get in, which makes sense, because some of those are exit onlys
Yeah,
already, kind
yes,
of, yeah.
right, exactly.
Okay, so oh, sorry, any other questions, guys? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to keep us rushing along. Okay. I motion that we approve the the access controls video intercom surveillance and intrusion system not to exceed $132,032.38, out of capital outlay.
Second.
Heppenstall,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Linton,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Bellinger,
I,
Williams,
Aye.
They shouldn't, okay.
Parsons.
I should have done them together. And then I'm gonna make a motion that we do a request to SR 3 for the Halo Vape Smart Sensors for approximately $30,000.
Second.
Peterson,
Aye.
Heppenstall,
Aye.
Parsons.
Aye.
Linton,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Bellinger,
I,
Bowen.
Aye. Excellent. All right, building reports. Do anybody have any questions? Do you want anything you guys wanna add?
yes, I left off wrestling numbers, I apologize. So we do have 16 boys and we have 7 girls, so I apologize, I did leave that one thing off.
Thank you. That's great.
Are we, is that program in sponsorship or partnership with?
Co-oping.
It's just us.
We're hosting it now.
Just
It's
us.
Just us, we were able to change that. And then, but we had to wait for the contract to end, and this is our first year, yes.
Yeah. Great.
Okay, superintendent report.
Okay, just KISA update. Kylie and I met with the principals to work on our year 5 report, so we've got about half of it done. We need to get the rest of it done. And we'll be looking to set that year 5 visit date so we can get it submitted for accreditation. So, appreciate the principal's input, me not being here. It was nice they could kind of help me relive that, and we can do that. And Kylie's been great, obviously, in we're working together on that to get that updated and ready to go, so. Our applicant tracking is live.
That's
shared,
awesome.
I shared the link with you. Again, this is where all postings will be. Any opening that we have, we'll go through the applicant tracking. We'll share this information with the staff. If there's positions that are interested, there's an internal button, so they don't have to fill out all the application. Basically, the internal will be, I'm interested in high school boys basketball coaching, and that will go to Jimmy, and he knows to go contact that person to do that. So all applications will be required to go through this to apply online. We have a laptop at the office if it turns on, so we're having trouble with that. But if somebody comes in and Patty and Pam can help them if they struggle, but we will again require all applications to go through the applicant tracking system.
But they
So-
can do it from the home.
Yeah,
too,
oh yeah,
like,
yeah, but if they want,
need to come in,
if they wanna come
On
in,
your phone, on a computer.
yeah.
fantastic.
So, but, and then any job posting that we have, if we put it on the KansasTeachingJobs.com, we will refer them to this website and they can apply. And then if anybody that applies, if it's Tim Building, then he'll get a notification, so-and-so applied for ELA position. So he knows to go in and check it and gather the information to go through that. So, and then it'll have all the information for the HR side of things, and we don't have to go through the paperwork and shuffle papers between the district office, and it's all housed right on there and to do that.
So very 2022 of us.
So, yeah, so it's pretty slick. I've used it at my previous district, so I think we're as ready as we can be to go through that, so, but it's live and out there, and you can get it through the district website. If you go to the district page, and at the bottom it says employment, you just click employment, and it'll take us to this outside webpage to access it, so. All right, OPA Food Service Management. Couple of the board members have talked to me about this with a nearby district transitioning to OPA Food Service Management. There's others in the area. So I kind of got the feeling that we'd like to look into that. So I reached out to Jack Keene, who's a retired superintendent who works for OPA, and asked him to swing by and give me some information. I wasn't here the day. It was up at the building or something when he came by. And so we met, Patty and I met with him the other day and shared some information and asked some questions. And again, there's no recommendation tonight any way, shape, or form. Just one where we're at right now. So in talking to Jack, he's sent information for us to do a feasibility study, and they provide a document, and Patty's compiling all that information, and we're going to send it to them, and then they're going to come back and kind of share that with us, and then we'll bring it to the board and share that information with you guys as well. But it really is just an inquiry. Our food service is healthy. It has been. With our fund, we haven't had to subsidize it through the general fund in any way, which is a good positive. But there's some benefits in the OPA with how much food they have a lot of people that buy, and so they can get food costs because the bulk buying is part of that savings. There's the employment side. We have some flexibility as a district. There's some options that you would have to sign on as a district, where you can, like, the first one option is any employee except for the food service director, the food service manager, whoever you want to call them, that person will have to be an OPA employee. But the others that are currently in place, they can remain a district employee and remain on CAPERS and the school health insurance and to do that. And so but they could stay that way, or if somebody leaves and they hire a new person, we could, depending on how we set it up, either we can keep them as a district employee, or they could be an OPA employee and go through that. And, work for OPA, you don't have the CAPERS. They do offer health insurance. The leave is a lot different than what we offer, but OPA also has the opportunity for employees to file for unemployment, like over Christmas break and the summer and things of that nature, which they can't do that for us as a district employee, even though they're off, but they're still getting paid, basically, with the agreement. Or you could just say everybody's going to be an OPA employee, and
That's how we're gonna do it, but I got it.
But there's some flexibility.
Options. Got it.
But you have to sign that, you have to make that choice when you sign up to do that, how you're gonna do that. What else, Patty, that's kind of in what we've learned in the short time?
You could do the meal count, which is,
It's a different, it's a business compared to, not that we're not a business, but they're very detailed on meal counts.
I like business.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
and they're detailed on, and so we need to make sure our meal counts are accurate, and they don't want a lot of extra, and, that flexibility to do that, but we just gotta find a system that makes that work, and, but that's how you're charged, is the number of meals you serve in the day, I guess is what you're saying, sorry.
Yeah, and you can't prepare over. The cooks have to prepare 420 meals, not 440. It's
Yeah.
exactly what the meal count comes in that day.
And that's how the district is charged per meal.
They take into account the difference between a kindergartner and a high school.
They still have to follow the federal guidelines of portion sizes and things of that nature, so it's still standard, they still have to file, to do that. But I think what the benefit of OPA is they encourage multiple entree options is one of the things, and that's what the local district is doing, to do that, so. But we have to follow all the rules, we still have to have somebody do all the paperwork, the free and reduced, all that information, and Patty would continue to do that if that's what happened, and the submission, but we'd still be under state review. They would still have to come in and review and go through that just like we would if we were hosting it ourselves. But
What other districts are using this?
West Franklin, Santa Fe Trail, Mission Valley,
Linden.
Linden's just started. There's several, there's a list in this, but we'll probably provide that. But right now, we're just in the information gathering stage for the board to consider as we go through this. So I don't want people thinking that's the decision's made tonight, but I've talked to Betsy, she's in the loop of that, our food service manager. So she's aware of this conversation is going on, so just want to let you know that process has started, and we'll give you the information on the feasibility study once it's done.
So when we get that, I think part of that will be like the pros and the cons, just so we can just understand, just because I'm not in it at all, so, okay.
Yeah.
That'd be great. And then it would be interesting to hear, Linden just moved to it this school year is my understanding.
Right.
And then at the other school, just getting their, feedback as well would be great.
Right. So just letting you know that's what's going on. We are changing our drug screening provider that we use for random drug testing. We're gonna go, I don't know where the one is, Texas based or something?
California.
California. So we're seeing a delay in getting those results. There's one in Topeka they do it a more defined screening. It's still the 10 panel that we've always used. It's about the same price, but it's not significant enough for the board to have to take action on, but we're just changing the provider.
What's the name of that company?
Compliance One, so out of Topeka, so just a heads up on that. I mentioned identification
Brady was next.
badges, starting tomorrow. Our school picture provider provide badges for everybody. And so our people that get their picture taken, I should say. Andy has the capability of printing out badges, so they're kind of different, but I believe in, it's being new to the district. I'm still like trying to figure out, is this person supposed to be in the building, we have, and
Yeah, people just randomly show up and wander around.
right, yeah, like this guy over here, yeah.
Then there's Corey.
Yeah.
Why is he here again?
Yeah, but, those processes, and so we can identify that if they have, if they're supposed to be in the building, so that starts, I know you've done it in the past, during construction time, the district has had that. But I just believe for the safety and security of the district, that will start tomorrow, for the staff to have that. We provided ways to clip on and different things, and once we get the key card, that will be their ID badge, and once that's going on, so they have that option to do that, so that will start
Great.
tomorrow.
And what's the timing of, if everyone starts wearing badges tomorrow, just so they get, used to doing that? Do we have a timeline now that we've approved?
I don't know what that would be. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if it would have to be a summer, because it's gonna be a lot of work, so if that's a summer project and things of that nature, but just gets people in the habit,
Rhythm.
of doing that, but eventually it'll become their entry. I know we talked about board meetings moving to the district office, but my assumption was you guys came down here because of COVID, and that was wrong. You guys have been down here quite a while, so it is a tight space. Talked to Todd and Kelly, we feel like this is probably the best setup, so we're just gonna leave it. But I was the other stuff, because most districts moved because of COVID from their original spots, so I was and then that was made clear to me, thanks to Amy and some others, like, no, we've been down there quite a while, so we'll just keep it down here to do that, so I apologize for the confusion on that, so. A few other things, I don't think Dina mentioned this, but Ms. Reed has submitted her information for Kansas Teacher of the Year, so we wanna wish her good luck and, doing that.
She's not here anymore? Good luck.
Yeah, so that's been submitted and ready to go on that.
Yeah, I will say she had some really good responses to the questions they asked her, so very proud of what she's done.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
gonna be
so awesome.
awesome. So excited for that. So I want to congratulate and thank our student athletes for their fall activity participants. Just appreciate their hard work and dedication, and our coaches and sponsors. I know it's not what we wanted the other night, but I just appreciate the hard work everybody's put in. Middle school started their winter sports, so gonna check them out tomorrow night. Got Linden coming to town, some basketball. And then winter sports practices start Monday, for the high school. And then don't forget about the play this weekend,
Yes.
Saturday at 7, Sunday at 2 o'clock.
So
excited for
excited,
that.
yes.
So that's all I have.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, I move we go into executive session to discuss confidential personnel matters pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception under Oklahoma, and the open meeting will resume in the library at, I'm gonna say 8:50. I'm gonna give us 30 minutes. The board invites Mr. Hessong to attend.
Thank you so much.
Was that Corey? Did you second?
It was PK again.
You're gonna speak up there, Pete.
Second.
Or stop sounding like Corey or something.
Peterson,
Yeah.
Aye.
Parsons,
Aye.
Bellinger,
I
Eppenstall,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Litton.
Aye. Beach with them.
Okay, we're back in open session. I move that we accept the resignation of Heather Lieber as preschool teacher at the end of the school year. Accept the retirement, we're sad, but of Judy Heward at the end of the school year. We, motion to accept the Evan Faulkner as assistant high school basketball coach. Boys basketball coach. And we are going to be opening a female assistant wrestling coach position.
Second.
Bowen,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Heppenstall,
Aye.
Linton,
Aye.
Bellinger,
Aye.
Parsons,
Aye.
A motion to adjourn?
Corey got it.
all right.
Second.
PJ said second.
Linton,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Heppenstall,
Aye.
Bellinger,
Aye.
Parsons,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.